Well, hi everyone. Welcome back. We are in the Recipe for Homeschool Success Summit. I have Jenny Hubanks with me today, and she is here to talk about a really important topic. So many of you have registered for it, and we're excited that you want this information. It's 5 ways to increase student joy and engagement. 5 ways. She's got 5 great tips for us. Jenny is the author of Thrive, Special Needs Strategies That Work. So I'll let her tell everyone a little bit about herself and her book, and then we'll get started with the 5 ways to increase student joy and engagement.
Thank you for having me. The book was written from a desire to help those specifically in a homeschool setting, but since it has been published, we found that it's also helping a lot of classroom teachers. It's really kind of a how to get started book, and the illustrations are beautiful. I did not create them, but it is just a really, really beautiful book, and useful.
Wonderful. Well, we're loved that we have that to offer the Masterbooks families. And tell us a little bit about your background. Like, why is this an important topic to you? Why is the special needs strategies? Why are those important to you? And why is increasing student joy and engagement important to you?
Oh, that's a big question, but I think a lot of the answers go well together. I wanted to be a teacher always, and got into college and started doing, you do internships, and I did some internships in special needs classrooms and just fell in love with the kids and the population, and really didn't ever go back to general education until recently. And there are just so many quick and easy strategies that can make a huge difference for kids. And I have just really enjoyed getting to learn those strategies, getting to see how they help kids increase engagement and also joy. It's exciting when you learn something new, and when you can open the door for someone to learn, that there's nothing like it. So the specific topic we're speaking on today, the 5 ways to increase student joy and engagement, it's meaningful to me because engagement in learning is difficult for so many, including adults, even people in high school and college. They're bored or they're not interested, and it's difficult to sit and learn through something that you're not interested in. I will tell myself there was a class in college, and I don't remember which topic it was, but I wasn't interested in it, so it wasn't education. It was probably math. And I just was not interested, and I had such a hard time paying attention. Some of it didn't make sense to me, and I did not do well in that class. And then later on, I took it again because I really wanted to master the concepts. I didn't have to, but this teacher, she made it interesting and engaging. And I had such a good time in that class because of the different way that the teacher presented it. So
That's wonderful.
it's just engagement is a big deal.
It is. And that really goes along with the Masterbooks method of education. We really want to do everything we can do for you, the homeschool parent, teacher, and the student, in the way we design our courses so that learning is fun, to take all the stress, as much stress out of it as we can, so that it really is something that they love to learn. No matter what the subject is, of course, they're going to have some things they like more than others, but it's exciting to have the opportunity to make information come alive. And so I'm excited for everyone today to hear your 5 tips. Why 5?
That's a great question. I have presented over the last few years in several different populations. And I had a group I presented with, and we used 10 a lot. And we got feedback that it was overwhelming, and they didn't feel like they could take all of that and go home and put it into play. And so dropped it down to 5, and that seems to be less overwhelming to people. And what I really want to relay is you don't have to go home and do all 5 at one time. Pick one, get that going really well, and then pick up another one and start using that one. But five seems to go well. People seem to like five.
That's really helpful to me because I can get overwhelmed easily when there's too much. And so just to have that one little tip, just take one thing at a time and work that into your life and then go get another one. That'll help the whole family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's jump into your information. What are the 5 ways that you have identified for increasing student joy and engagement?
So these are not in any specific order, but I think they're all important. The first one I listed is incorporating choice, then using high interest topics, making everything as hands-on as possible, taking breaks, and making learning relevant.
Okay.
It was hard to narrow down to 5, I will say. There's more that we could have gone with, but these were my top 5.
All right, good deal. So let's start with talking about incorporating choice into a school day.
There are so many ways that you can incorporate choice. I think in a classroom setting, which is where I've spent a lot of my time with gen ed teachers, coaching and co-teaching, they get stuck on choice being, well, do you want this or this in just one way? And it's really so much more than that. So you can offer choice in how a student accesses the information, and you can also offer choice on how the student engages in the information. And then within those topics, you can offer a lot of choices between there. So the type of information, you can give them choices. So writing, they can choose what they want to write about. Now, sometimes I do know that curriculum has you writing about a certain thing, and you're going to have those times. But if that's not required for the day, let them choose something that's interesting to them. Reading, same thing. If something's not required, or if you're doing extra reading, let them choose the topic. And then math, that one is a little bit more structured, but maybe they're working on adding and subtracting right now, and you ask them which one they want to work on first, or which one they want to work on today. And as far as accessing the information, a lot of teaching seems to be lecture, and that's not a bad thing. I am not saying anything bad about lecturing. We need it as a teaching strategy. But now there are some other options out there. Sometimes you can learn things through a video, or you can read a handout while you listen to a lecture. Just giving them options of how they're getting the information sometimes will make a huge difference, especially if you have a kid that doesn't do well with only hearing something. If you add in a piece of paper where you've filled out, maybe pre-filled out notes, and they just fill in some blanks here and there, that can really help a kid access the information.
Right, because at that point, they're not panicking over writing all the notes just right.
Right.
There's something simple that they're listening for to fill in the blanks. It's so helpful for me when I'm learning to write something down and to write it in cursive. One of the talks that we're having in this summit, Carrie Bailey talks about the fact that writing in cursive actually activates another part of the brain, the part that does art, and that actually will help you retain the information even better.
That is so interesting.
Isn't it?
Yes. So as far as how a student engages in information, there are so many different ways that they can complete their work. They could do project work. You can incorporate a video report that maybe they do the video report. Maybe they make an art project that reflects all of the information that they learned. They're still going to have to do the groundwork. They're still going to have to find out all the information and gather it, but they're putting it in a format that's interesting to them. And honestly, sometimes that takes more work, but it's interesting to them. And so it really increases student engagement. You can have kids do typing versus handwriting. If handwriting is a struggle, which is pretty common in younger kids, as far as assistive technology goes, I always like to point out that the goal is to learn the information,
Mhm.
not how they're doing, how they're learning it or how they're displaying what they learn.
Mhm.
It's getting that information in their brain. So if typing is a way that they like to do it and it's not mandatory that the handwriting, they're not working on handwriting right now,
Mhm.
let them type. Um, you can give options on how many numbers of problems that they're going to complete that day,
Mhm.
6 versus 20. Again, we're focusing on do they have the skill, not have they done 100 problems.
Mhm.
You can ask them how long they want to work before they take a short break. You can ask them which subject they want to do first of the day. Do they want to start the day with math or do they want to start the day with literacy?
Okay.
And then another fun thing that a lot of younger kids really like,
Mhm.
can a favorite character be incorporated? So, example, and you can find a lot of stuff online. You can find stickers, drawings. Um, Maybe they like dinosaurs and you do dinosaur egg math problems. And they want to do more because they really like dinosaur eggs. So, those are just a few examples, but
Mhm.
there's really a lot of room for choice in the school day.
I love that. And at Masterbooks, we have so much room for choice as well. And we recommend that you consider asking your student which one of the sciences they were more interested in so that they can be more interested, be more engaged, because it might be about dinosaurs. We have elementary paleontology or elementary zoology. There's so many different options. And that also, as you've mentioned, helps the student retain and be ready for class, be ready for that subject.
Absolutely. Speaking of using favorite characters with uh, work, that kind of is a perfect transition into the next topic, which is using high interest items for learning.
Mm.
So we talked about characters and how you can, incorporate that into worksheets or reinforcers if you're giving out stickers. But you can expand that and go even deeper. If you have a kid that's really into art, get
Mhm.
messy. Let them use art as part of their work. The same thing with music. A lot of kids learn well with music, especially the younger kids. That you can find a song for just about anything on the internet. I do
Mhm.
recommend that you screen those prior to
Sure.
using them, but so many great learning songs out there. Something that I have seen kids really enjoy is we are practicing sight words, and I put them on the wall and we threw beanbag. I would say, okay, find the word and
Mhm.
whatever it was, and they throw the beanbag at the word. So just getting movement incorporated into learning.
Yes.
You can do cross body activities where you are activating both sides of your brain by going
Mhm.
across your midline. Um, Whatever their interests are, use
Mhm.
them. You know what's great about what you just said? Like, there are so many options on here. This isn't even like a big piece of the iceberg. There's so much more if you dig into the different ways you can incorporate choice and building student engagement. There's just so much more if you dig into it and
Yeah.
just really think about how to be creative. The sky's the limit.
Good. Well, let's move on to the next one and talk about, excuse me, what can a home educator do for kids that have a hard time completing worksheets or any kind of paper pencil activities?
So, paper pencil, we need that for some things,
Hmm.
certainly. But we can still make that interactive. You can add manipulative. So if you're doing math problems, you can have hands on blocks, or they make little tiny counting bears, all kinds of counters. You can add those to the activity. Um, let's see, reading. Oh, I really like this. So if you're trying to teach sounding out words, for example, CBC, consonant, vowel, consonant,
Hmm.
there's a couple of activities that we try. One is you have rubber bands and you put your hands in the rubber band, and as you're sounding out the words, you stretch the rubber band or sounding out the letters, and then you say them together and you snap your hands back.
Okay.
Another one is you have a little road and it has your three letters on it, and you have a car. And as you drive the car across it, you sound out the word and read it. Just hands on things that make things more concrete for kids. Let's see. We've already talked about video and art formats. Obviously, I am an art kind of gal. Videos, I'd be fine with that too, but really into art. So any type of option for that when I was in school was always my first thing. You can also do letter tiles for phonics. Use those to manipulate the different letter sounds and putting words together. There's just so many good things out there.
That would definitely be something that I would enjoy because I love Scrabble. I love word games. So anytime there would be a word, letter pile, I'm all over that. Let's make something.
Yep.
So, okay, what's next on your list?
So let's see, we have done incorporating choice, using high interest topics, make everything as hands-on as possible. So we are at taking breaks.
Okay.
So if you went to school in a public school setting, you really didn't take a lot of breaks. You were expected to sit down and do your work for this amount of time, whatever that was. But if you think about it, adults take breaks at work. They get lunch break. They get a lot of places, they get a morning break and an afternoon break. And if you think about it, school is kind of the equivalent of a job for children.
True.
And they need breaks sometimes. Everybody needs a break sometimes. So teach your child to recognize when they need a break.
Okay.
Like if you have a kid with ADHD or autism, sometimes you have to specifically teach them, talk them through what their body feels like. Teach them how to recognize it. Do you feel this way? Do you feel, oh, that might mean you need a break. And then when they use it, honor that. And really, I have found that giving a kid a break when they've requested it really builds a safe space for learning. It makes them feel safe and they can take a break if they need to, and they're not going to be in trouble.
Yes. And building some agency, like I asked, I got it.
Yeah.
Gives them that sense of control. Like you're listening to me. I have some autonomy here. I'm a person too. That's really good.
Side note, I always tell adults, no matter who's teaching or where they're teaching, what setting, if you're frustrated, your student's probably also frustrated. Take a break. It's okay. There is no shame in taking a quick break and then come back, refocused, ready to learn.
Yeah.
No shame in taking a break.
I'm really glad. I need that kind of coaching for this job. Take a break, Jennifer. Okay, so let's talk about your final topic, which is making learning relevant. What do you mean by that?
As adults, at least in my case, I ask why a lot. I want to know the why behind what's happening, what we're doing. And I think we should give kids that same respect. They like to know why, or at least I can tell you my 4-year-old does, because he asks me why about 20 times a day. I can't always explain the full length of something to him, but when I can, I think that's a valuable learning tool. And so as part of that, sometimes kids need adults to connect the pieces of learning for them. And just this past school year, I actually had a student and I was teaching in a gen ed classroom, and the student said, well, I don't need to know this. This isn't going to help me at all in life. So what do I have to do? I have to help the kid connect how this actual topic is going to help him in the future. This kid really wanted to drive. He really he talked about cars all the time, wanted to, he's going to buy this certain car when he turns 16. And I was like, hey, that's great. I love that. Did you know that you have to be able to read to pass the writing portion of the driving test? And of course, he didn't. But it gives them a really good incentive to read
Sure.
and want to work toward reading.
Mhm.
The same with money counting. Do they want to buy something at the store? Do they have their eye on a new game? I'm sure they, if you have kids, they do because,
Sure.
always something new.
Mhm.
So to buy something at the store, they're going to need to know how to count,
Mhm.
add, and subtract to know if they have enough money to purchase it. And then also, if you are a chores person, incorporating chores
Mhm.
so that they're earning money, so that it has more value to them. There are just a lot of ways that you can help make topics relevant
Mhm.
for the future and not just because I told you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I said so. You
Yeah.
will learn
Now,
this.
I'm not going to say I never say that, but
Yeah,
when it's relevant, I do try to point that out to them.
absolutely. So let's go over the five again, if you don't mind.
I don't. So to recap, we started with incorporating choice,
Mhm.
making sure that they have a say in maybe how or what they're learning first, or um, how they're representing what they've learned.
Mhm.
Using high interest topics, whatever it is, you can use it. Make everything as hands on as possible.
Okay.
That just really helps build engagement. Taking breaks, no shame in taking a break. It doesn't have to be long, it can be 5 minutes, 3 minutes, but maybe it is long. If you need a 15-minute break, that's okay.
Yeah.
And make learning relevant. Tell them why. Why do you need to know this for the future?
Everybody's probably very curious about the fly that keeps trying to land on my nose while we're doing this interview. How distracting. So, you've given us so many great ideas for the parent teacher to help joy and engagement happen for the student. Do you have any other final words you want to share with us?
I do. As parents and teachers, we know it's not always smooth sailing. We know that sometimes there are tough days, but we can still expect joy through the process.
Mhm.
When I was finishing up writing this, I was thinking about John 15:11. And this is the NIV version. These things I've spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be full. We don't have to lose heart because our joy comes from the Lord and not our circumstances.
Right.
So that joy is always there, ready for us to pick up.
Mm, what a gift from the Lord. He's
Absolutely.
already given it. We have Him. He is joy. Joy lives on the inside of us, is a resident inside of us. And we just sometimes have to find a way to get things out of the way so joy can have its place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for the book you've written, for these very valuable tools, for the education that you have spent your time and money investing in yourself so that you can invest in the Master Books family. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I enjoy our talks.
Me too. Me too. It's always fun. So, thanks everybody for being a part of this particular talk. I hope that you are ready for the next one and the next one and the next one. We have so many in this summit, and we are excited to be able to offer you the replays when it's over. Thanks for being here.